Welcome to Humans of Teaching, a podcast that explores the unique and amazing ways that humans of all walks of life teach others. Let's learn something new. Welcome in, friends. You're here for episode 11 of the Humans of Teaching podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Pete Mysells, and let's get into it. Today's episode is titled The Mastermind, Finding Passion and Purpose in Your Business. We're going to sit down with a gentleman by the name of Travis Wu. Travis Wu is a very popular content creator and online business owner, but his story is going to surprise you. Travis Wu left a luxurious life of playing a game he loved competitively, traveling the world, playing in gigantic tournaments with tens of thousands of dollars on the line, and he was making a solid living. However, Travis found out that despite the incredible experiences he was able to participate in and traveling the world, all while playing this favorite game of his, this was not his true purpose in life. And we're going to find that purpose is the key theme of this episode. Travis left his life of competitive gaming behind and purchased a one-way ticket to Hawaii to work on an organic farm where he works sun up to sun down, harvesting crops, cleaning the animals and their messes, and providing tours to the local school-age students. So many of you may be sitting back and asking yourself, wait a second, who in their right mind would give up a life like that to move to a farm and work manual labor all day? Well, in Travis's interview, he answers exactly that. His story is sure to inspire you to take a deep look at your life and find what drives you, what you find passion in, and find your purpose. While Travis now works on a farm, he did not give up on his love for the game that he dedicated much of his life to. He now has a thriving online coaching business that he manages called The Mastermind, where he guides his team of teachers to educate and train clients to reach or even surpass the stage of competitive play that he had while playing Magic the Gathering. He shares effective marketing techniques that he uses that has allowed him to grow his online business significantly over the past few years. And Travis also shares how he got started in content creation through platforms like YouTube and Instagram to inspire others to be a better person and live a better life. A quick word about our sponsors before we get into the interview, ladies and gentlemen. Humans of Teaching is entirely free, and we don't receive any support through advertising or sponsorship, so the best way you can help our team out is to leave a review and give us a rating on whichever platform you are listening to the podcast on. And I'd love for you to be honest as you can. Share what you love about the podcast, maybe what you'd like to hear more of, and what you would change that you think would make this show even better. The next way we would really appreciate your support is if you could share this podcast with 3 friends, family members. The goal of Humans of Teaching is to inspire others to learn new things and try new approaches in their teaching and their lives in general. So the more we can share this podcast to, the better. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you in advance for all of your support. And let's get into today's interview with online business owner, content creator, and organic farmer, Travis Wu. All right, friends, welcome into a new episode of Humans of Teaching. I'm very excited for today's guest. I've been a longtime fan of his, and being as someone who is interested in online business and marketing and content creation, we have someone who is going to help us along with that to hopefully make Humans of Teaching a better experience for all and give all of you some insight on what that life is like. So, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Travis Wu. Travis, how are you?
I'm doing good, Peter. Thank you, and everybody listening. I'm excited to share with you and happy to be on here. So thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. And Travis, you have a really amazing story that brought you to where you are. We're actually speaking on a 5-hour time zone difference. You're in Hawaii. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, Travis, I'd like to start our talk out by you just going into your history, your background of what you went through and your story and how you got to be where you are today.
let me tell a short version and then I can expand on anything you want to hear from. But today I'm living on an organic farm in Hawaii. It's actually a 40-year-old nonprofit. We do a lot of social work in addition to growing farms or growing food. We have a history of helping people with mental health issues. We currently help adults with developmental disabilities, and we also do housing for homeless people across the island. So it's like such a cool organization. I think most people who are even following me have no idea about the scope of the work that we do here. But it's pretty far from where I grew up. I grew up in the city. I grew up in Seattle. I grew up playing a lot of Magic, The Gathering, card game, competing. I grew up playing a lot of basketball. I farming or growing food. Even charity work was really not on my radar at all. My parents definitely were pretty good parents, and I have them to thank. But yeah, I went to school, went to business school, and during this time, I was playing in Magic tournaments and competing and making content, and things started to take off. I had some good tournament finishes, and I managed to get some gigs writing and producing content, and that opened a lot of doors for me to have a pretty cool job after I graduated, to start writing for one of the major sites, Channel Fireball. And it wasn't like I was getting paid a ton of money, but the rate was really good in terms of how much time I had available to me, the amount of freedom. And from there, sort of expanded what I was doing in Magic. It started a coaching business, helping players win tournaments, traveled a lot, pretty extensively for the game. In 2017, I was in 12 different countries and also about a dozen cities. However, during this time, and I think this is the lesson that I really want to share with you, because I feel like my story is probably just not that relatable. Maybe, and maybe in some ways it is, some ways it isn't. But you see these people who have these lifestyles. It's boring to have that much free time, is what I found out. This much freedom is boring. What's the point of life? I'm just competing, playing cards, playing basketball. I'm searching for greater meaning. I'm searching for greater service. So during this time, I also started volunteering at farms, and the reason I was doing that is for lifestyle and because it made me feel good and to meet people, but especially because, like, hey, this work has meaning. You look at the problems humans are facing in terms of climate change, in terms of environment, in terms of physical health, in terms of mental health, and on and on. Well, if more people were into gardening and growing their own food, that would be a big help. So I started to move in that direction. I faced some problems in marketing myself and Magic. Created some controversies for myself that made things more difficult. So it also made sense to transition into a different industry. So in 2017, I ended up, because of Magic the Gathering, spending a lot of time in Hawaii. Well, it took me to Hawaii for the Pro Tour, and I found this organization and started working here and moved back here full time 2018. So 2018, 2019, I've been here for 2 full years plus part of 2017. And now I'm doing this work here on the farm, and part of that is tours for school groups and also mentoring this youth program that's running a farmers market on the farm. But I'm still coaching Magic players. I also have YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and sharing life lessons and do life coaching as well. So I'm teaching in three kinds of ways, and I wish that maybe things were simpler and I had just one vocation, but sometimes you have duties and obligations.
100%. And I love the fact that you emphasize that, people think that I have this amazing life, traveling to all these different countries, competing in a game that I absolutely love, creating content for it. But sometimes having that free time doesn't give you the purpose that you're really seeking, right? And that's what life is about, to find our true purpose. And you would talk to anyone on the road and say, listen, I had this amazing life where I was able to travel all over. But in the end, what I really wanted to do was stay in one place and focus on what makes me happy and gives me purpose. And that's help the youth educate themselves about health and nutrition and building up this farm. And it's pretty remarkable. And it's probably pretty humbling for people to think that, man, this guy who had so much going on in his life actually all he really wanted to do was be on a farm and teach people. That's pretty great.
I start my days right now. A lot of the time, I go out and in the dark, I strap on a headlamp at 6 a.m. and I go scoop up the pig poop and scoop up the sheep poop and move it to the compost pile. It's not very glamorous, but I don't have very much free time the way my life is set up now. I work on the farm from 6 or 6:30 to 6. So it's 12-hour day. I have 3.5 hours of break in there, and then I usually use that frequently to work on my online business, YouTube, social media, just sharing. I do farmers markets on Saturdays, so Sunday is really my only day off, but I usually use that for my online business teaching. So I have so little free time now, but I have a lot of purpose and mission in my life. And I found that that makes for a much better life. Obligation, we all want to feel needed, right? Yeah, I feel needed now, and it's much better than having unlimited freedom.
I agree. I agree. And you think about it, you'd be spending your free time watching TV, going on YouTube, going on social media, all of these things. And if you're doing something with your free time that some would call work, but you're getting a lot of enjoyment out of and people are finding value from, seems like a pretty good gig to me.
Yeah,
But I can see why you'd be pretty whooped after those 12-hour days and not getting any time to just relax and
yeah. I do take some time to go surf and enjoy myself, but just work all the time. But it's the way I like it.
yeah, I agree. And especially when you're building up a brand, when you're building up a business, consistency is a big part of that. People want to know that they can rely on you and they can trust you and you're there for them when they need you and you're building up that standard for yourself and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's important to be consistent.
100%. So, Trav, you mentioned that you have an online business where you coach individuals in Magic the Gathering. You also emphasize that you're a content creator on YouTube and Instagram, as well as your farm tours. That is a huge plate, but I'd like you to break down each one of them for our listeners who may be interested in each one of them, respectively, or altogether. So, first one we're going to break down is your online coaching business that you call the Mastermind. Can you break that down as to what's the purpose of this program and how did it start and how is it designed?
So this is the program that's for Magic players, and I'll tell you, it's not my purpose. It's not my life mission. To me, that's more about duty and obligation and loyalty. And I believe that you got to teach what you know, and you have to do what the market asks for you. I'd love if I was a master of other things, and I would love if the market really wanted to pay me to teach them certain other things, but that's what I've become an expert on, and that's what has asked of me. And I think that's important, just being realistic, like what is asked of me and doing that. Even if it's like, this isn't exactly what I would choose to do now, there's something to be loyal and to, have obligation and have duty that drives you. So that happened with just everything that I was doing in Magic, winning tournaments, traveling, just people asking me to coach them and to help them out. I started off doing one-on-one coaching, and then it was so successful. I hit a point where we had 20, I had 30, I had 40. Oftentimes, I have 50 clients at a time. It's like so we organize it as a group instead, and we do group coaching. So I hired in 4 other pro players. So now we have 5 of us who coach the group. My job is manage the relationships with the coaches and between our students and do the marketing and bringing new people in. I do still teach inside our organization, but whereas the other coaches are like, here's the strategy, here's what to play, here's what I'm playing. A lot of my teaching is more on how to be a better person, because the nature of this game is it's expensive, so you should be on top of your career. It can take a lot of time, so here's how to be more time efficient so you can have family time. It is physically, mentally demanding, so here's how to be in better shape. So people think that we're just going to teach them how to win Magic tournaments, but I'm training them on fitness and I'm training them on a mindset, and I'm introducing them to friends and creating this brotherhood. Again, it's not like this is my purpose in life. This game gave me so much and I'm still giving back, and I want to serve the people that we have And in order to do that, I need to keep growing it and bringing people in.
I love it. And you said that you wanted to keep growing, and you mentioned how the mastermind grew from one person to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, and you're in charge of kind of the management and the marketing aspect. Trav, how would you describe perhaps your most effective marketing strategy that you used when you found the mastermind to really take off? Was there a specific thing that you focused on that really allowed it to grow?
I'll give you three, and the reason I'm not just giving you one is because marketing changes fast. You can't just do the same thing and expect to get good results. Like the new apps are emerging, and all the algorithms change. So at first, YouTube was the number one thing. Just make a lot of YouTube content, and then invite people. I would give away like a free training or something, and then from there invite them on a call, and then from there see if we're a good fit. Producing content demands your time. Something like YouTube, even daily. So it's like, okay, how do I scale this up? How do I automate it? So that's when I started doing Facebook ads. And Facebook ads, I've been doing for, I guess it's my fifth year now. I've spent easily five figures. I don't know how much, like if it's 10, 20, or $30,000 on Facebook ads. And I still today, like that's hugely important. It's just a way to reach your audience while you're not there. It's like, okay, what if we made 4,000 this month and we spent 2,000? I don't need to pull that $2,000 out of the business. Maybe I should reinvest some of that. Facebook ads in particular for what we're doing is great because we run a Facebook group. So we know people are already on Facebook. And then that's become a little bit less effective because people are sort of tired of all the ads. So now what I've been doing is free Facebook group trainings. This is pretty cool. I learned this in November, and I'm already doing it for the third time here. But you have a Facebook group that's counting down to being deleted. So just putting a shot clock on it makes people take it more seriously. For instance, I just dropped the first training today, and I'm going to delete the group on the 25th after sharing 8 more trainings. And it makes people actually watch the videos because they know it's limited time. We can put energy into it like it's a paid thing, even though it's a free thing, because we know we're not going to do this forever. And then at the end of the period, it's like, hey, if you like that, you can join our subscription program and keep learning with us. Otherwise, the group's going down, and we will do this again later, but for now, it's getting frozen. So that's working super well. But I mean, I need even another strategy in next year, a year from now. That's like where most of the work is actually is the marketing, figuring out how to keep getting attention.
Yeah, I found that here with Humans of Teaching. I, had steady growth, and word of mouth is probably the most authentic, marketing that you can get. But at the same time, you want to reach as much of an audience as you possibly can. And that has become the more difficult thing because I'm a teacher. What I know how to do is I know how to teach, I know how to speak to people, I know how to ask questions and develop that kind of stuff. And I'm learning how to edit and grow that kind of stuff. But I was never a marketing person,
Yeah.
and that has offered its own challenge. And whenever you're a one man army, like I
Yes.
know you were for a very long time with your YouTube content creation and all of that, you kind of have to wear all the different hats, and that offers its own set of challenges for sure.
Yeah. It gets to a point where it's really important to delegate. I have 4 people, and I also have a virtual assistant, 5 people. And I really should have a partner. It's like, yeah, it's ridiculous to think I need to make the content, I need to deliver the product, I need to make websites, I need to learn advertising. No, it's just too much. It's, you can't be great at all these things.
And especially when you have a full-time job like I know you do, and myself, it offers its own set of challenges there. But listen, we're doing what we love to do, and we're spreading the message, and sounds like you're really making some moves. So that's fantastic to see. Thanks for that advice and all those different marketing techniques. That's great. All right. So throughout that process, you were mentioning your YouTube and how important your YouTube was to grow your brand and spread the message of the mastermind, get yourself more clients and spread that way. So YouTube is actually where I first found you. I'd like you to talk about your initial goals within YouTube. Like, why did you make that account? Why did you want to start it? And we'll go from there.
I first started on YouTube because actually I was taking public speaking in college, and it was a way for me to like warm up for my speeches. And then I was like, hey, this is a cool way for me to connect with people and to share what I'm learning. And I was YouTubing about actually, like, first I was sharing my music, and then I was sharing, basketball training, and then eventually it's got down to two things, and it's still two things. One being magic. I was prolific at one point, producing like 3 videos a day because I was doing this full time. A lot of gameplay or trying to create lessons and share them with people. And when you look at all the social media that you could be doing, YouTube's an interesting thing. I like to help people grow into better versions of themselves, right? So I do a lot of self-development content. The theme on my Instagram is growing better food, growing better people. The theme on my YouTube is be a better person, live a better life. Say that you get like, 300 views on your Instagram story. That's like 5 seconds of interaction. You get 100 likes on your Facebook post. That's like 10 seconds of interaction. When someone watches your YouTube video for 6 minutes, for 10 minutes, and they get something out of it, and they leave a comment and say, hey, actually, that really helped me, that's a way to develop a deep connection with people and actually affect some change. So what's exciting about YouTube in particular is that my average video view is 4 minutes. So it's like, okay, I got 150 views at 4 minutes. Average video that took me 10 minutes to film was viewed for 10 hours. Or, a video gets hot, it's viewed for 5 days or something like that. You can do a lot. Podcast is similar to that. So like you're putting out a 45-minute podcast. I hope you guys listen to the whole thing, but maybe the average is like 25, 30 minutes. People pause it and don't get back to it. Like, wow, even if you only get 100 listens, it's like 50 hours. So that's what I like about YouTube.
Trav, I'm sure you recall back whenever there was a TV show that we wanted to watch, whether it was Lost when it was on TV or Prison Break or 24, any of those shows, you got one episode every single week. And that's what it's kind of become for a lot of the YouTubers. But you get that episode every single week and it becomes part of your routine.
Mm.
And your episodes are, every single day, maybe one every other day or a few a day. And people come to just follow you and trust you. And just like you were saying, trust and loyalty is a huge part in building any type of business or foundation. You want to be loyal to your customers, so they're loyal to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of your YouTube, is there a specific video that you're most proud of?
I'm not sure I would say like a specific video. I mean, I would say in June, like 8 months ago, I basically became totally straight edge. Before then, I had smoked weed on and off, and I'll drink on the weekends or drink coffee. Looked at porn sometimes. I stopped doing all of that about 8 months ago, and have shared about it, and that's like really helped people because it's like, wow, man, this has been. I feel so much better about myself and my life, and I have so much more energy, and I'm more prolific. And yeah, teaching people how they can quit smoking or they can quit drinking. So the life coaching that I'm doing, which I wouldn't call it a business because it's like a practice. I'm the only one in the business. I don't have any workers under me. It's sort of like, again, what people ask of me or what's asked of you. You have to do what's asked of you. I mean, I am happy with my YouTube, and I'll tell you, it's never good to compare yourself to others. But if you look at the people who are highly successful on YouTube, they're putting a tremendous amount of work. Last year, actually, I stayed at the house of some millionaire YouTubers, this ranch island in Las Vegas. Some of the guys there had 3 million subscribers, 5 million subscribers, 76 million views on a video. And it's a lot of work what they're doing, actually, with the script writing and, the filming and the editing, and they've got a whole organization of people, the tagging and the optimization. Like, it's a big commitment to really do that. And if you're trying to do other things with your life, you just have to make sacrifices at some point.
100%. Yeah. And you mentioned something that I just absolutely love. You can't compare yourself to others. I have so many students who are just like, well, this person is more successful than me, or this person that I look up to is doing all of this stuff. And people our age in their late 20s or early 30s are like, look at this person online who's doing all these amazing things. Listen, that's their perfect version that you are seeing. You're not seeing the other 99%.
Yeah,
And anyone that you see on the side of the street that seems like they have it together, you might not know the whole story. So I always like to tell my students to focus on absolute gains versus relative gains. If you are a better version of yourself than you were the day before, then you're winning this battle. You're doing the thing right. Don't compare yourself to someone else because they're not you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Compare yourself to yourself.
100%. There was a YouTuber that I absolutely loved back in the day, Elliot Hulse, Strength
Oh
Camp. Or
yeah,
you, yeah. He always pushed that become the strongest version of yourself. And in reality, you're
yes,
never going to be the strongest version of yourself. You're just going to get a little bit stronger every day, and we're okay with that. All right. So, last part of the trifecta of all the massive work that you're working on, Trev, we have your farm tours. And this is where you are right now. I want you to unpack basically what a day in the life looks like for you when you're working on the farm. I know you said you're sun up to sundown, but there's so much that you do at the farm. So, talk about all of those different things that you do to help find that purpose that you're after.
yeah. So the farm is more like my purpose. It's also for me to be happy and to enjoy my lifestyle. Magic is for loyalty and duty, and to an extent, it's for money. Life coaching is, it would be nice to help people, but if I'm actually thinking, like, what do humans need? Good organic food locally growing on your block is definitely that. We're a team. We have about 15 people in our crew. So I think about the whole organization. This last year, we grew 85,000 pounds of food. We bought from the local community and resold another 100,000 pounds of food. And we did between 500,000 and $1 million in sales. And so I'm thinking about that when I'm thinking about the work that I do, because it's not always glamorous what I'm doing. If I'm scooping pig poop and sheep poop, and I'm harvesting salad with scissors, or I'm washing salad and stuff like that. But together we accomplish a lot. The basic roles on the farm that we all do is we harvest, we weed, we wash, we prepare, and we send out. Okay, the organization we work for is really unique. You ever heard of an organization that does housing for the homeless, helps adults with developmental disabilities, and has medium scale organic farming? So, I mean, our farm is also like that, where we have so much going on. We grow like 30 different kinds of products, or, produce. We have multiple large programs. We do banquet dinners, we do weddings, we do farm tours, we do sort of youth mentoring. We do. We have chickens, we have sheep, we have pigs, we have aquaponic fish, we have turkeys, we have multiple properties. We just have so much going on. So my role in that is grunt labor. I'm physically athletic, and I like to do that. So take some of the harder physical jobs. I do farmers market every Saturday. That's also outreach to the community, spread our word, get people into our public cafe. We do farm to table cafe, and our cafe was also recently, it was voted #1 farm to table restaurant on the island. We also do retreats. We've got like yoga retreats and all this. I'm having a retreat for Magic players coming up here in April, which I'm really excited about. It's gonna be really cool. There's like a farmers market run by high school kids, so I'm sort of the go-between for that. And then school tours, we have a lot of school tours. Right now, we have someone part-time organizing the tours, like doing educational outreach, and then I'm just executing. Our goal is to have someone who's full-time on educational outreach, growing, expanding our programs, volunteer days. There's a lot of different hats worn on the farm too. It's a fun life. It's complicated, but it's fun.
Yeah, that's it's such a beautiful way you put those two things in the same sentence. I wear a lot of hats, but it's fun. And that's the true testament to someone's purpose. I could even hear it in your voice and how much detail you went into, Trav, on how you focus just on what you're passionate for. All of the farm tours that you do and working on the farm in every way, shape, or form seems to bring you so much enjoyment and love for what you do. And that's what we want.
So on the tours, I like to ask at the beginning, if anyone want to be a farmer, anyone want to be a gardener, anyone want to grow your own food, who's interested in doing that? And saying like one hand, two hands raised. And then after the tour, like, okay, now that you've seen what we do, who's interested in being growing food or being a farmer, a gardener? And everyone's hands go up. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
here's how we're actually making a difference.
I love it. I love it. Beautiful. So, Travis, you went into amazing detail and telling these fantastic stories about the mastermind, your YouTube, all the work you do on the farm. So you teach in many different ways, and you've had so many different experiences over your life, from back in Seattle, grinding the Magic the Gathering scene, traveling the world, and throughout that path, you find yourself here in Hawaii making a difference on that farm. So, with all of that experience in mind, I want you to think, what qualities do you think of in great teaching?
I mean, the reality is a great teacher teaches what they know. If you are world class at something, it's not going to be that hard to transmit that knowledge. I mean, you can get into the tactics of teaching, but the big picture is like you need to be immersed in it. Being good at what you're teaching is key. And then when you get into tactics, I think that a good teacher asks a lot of questions from the student in order to understand and better know the student. Like a poor teacher just starts talking, and it's like, I don't really know where you're coming from, but let me just talk at you and tell you some things. Well, you need to understand who you're teaching. You need to understand why they're here. How you teach them is very different depending on that. What is your goal? Do you have a goal? Is your goal important to you? Why is your goal important to you? Is there emotional drivers behind accomplishing this goal? What are you willing to give up? Or what sort of work are you willing to do to learn this? Right? It's important to know these things. Being very curious about your students, I think, is really important.
Yeah, putting yourself in their shoes, and you would hope your teacher would ask what your goals are, why you're here. Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think that's a great way to kind of close out our person to person interview here. So, Travis, wonderful, wonderful perspectives. Thank you so much for sharing every single piece of insight that you gave us. I now want to turn the table to our listeners. Our listeners were just excited to have you on, as I was, and they asked a few questions, two of which that I have here on the podcast for you. So the first one was of a listener who's actually, kind of considering starting their own online business, and it can be very intimidating. So if you had one piece of advice, Travis, what would that piece of advice be for others looking to start their own online business?
I mean, the reality is, it's for some people, it's not for everyone, though. You got to make sure it's for you. Online business is a challenging lifestyle, and even if you automate it and you delegate it like I have, it still occupies a space in your brain forever. It takes energy. If you go full time, it's like, what sort of lifestyle are you creating? Where what people show on social media is often very different from what's in real life, of how much time you spend on the phone and on the computer and staring at a screen, and how that can affect you. So you got to be sure you want it. But I mean, definitely it goes back to, hey, with this podcast, Humans of Teaching, hiring a mentor. When I started my online business, I hired a guy. His name's Alexander Vitkin. I think I paid him like $1,500 up front, and then I was paying him $100 a month for the next 2 years. You want to pay someone who knows what it is that you want to do, or knows how it works and can help you be successful. It's too much to figure out yourself. You want a variety of teachers. I've spent a tremendous amount of money and time on various teachers. It's like, you want to make money online, you should spend money online. You should become a student of the marketplace.
Yeah, mentorship is one thing that's always helped me. Whether it was in student teaching, just finding someone that I knew would be an amazing mentor for me. And John Green, famous author, emphasized one time on a YouTube video. Find someone who's doing something that you want to do better than you can already do it and listen to everything that they say. And that seems to be a reasonable way to go about starting into it. And making sure that your online business goes along with your purpose is huge. Making sure that your purpose in life coincides with that business, then you got a good starting point. I would agree with Trav on every single step of that. All right, Travis, second question. What book have you most often recommended to others?
It's probably not the book you'd expect, but I have it right here. I would say Adrift, 76 Days Adrift by Stephen Callahan. Basically, the story, this guy is taking a small boat across the Atlantic from, I think, the Canaries Islands off Spain to the Caribbean, and he hits a whale or something in the middle of the night, and he pulls out a rubber dinghy, and he's on the rubber dinghy for 76 days. He's got a little water filtration system that makes about a pint of water a day. He's got a spearfishing gun, and he's spearing fish. And at one point, his spearfishing gun breaks off into the fish, and the fish punctures the raft. And he's got to pump it every 30 minutes, and it takes him a week to fix. And I recommend this book to people because it just puts life in perspective of how bad life can be, how much of a beating you can take and still survive. I like to read that book when I'm traveling or when I'm going through a hard time and find comfort in, like, yo, you could be on a raft in the middle of the ocean for 2 months, 2.5 months. You don't know you're going to survive. You're got blisters and boils all over your body. You're super dehydrated. Occasionally you catch a fish and you can find it in your body to keep going and to make it.
That sounds like a book that's going to be next on my list. All right, Travis. So to close out our interview today, we're going to bring you to light outside of, your professional farm tours and your YouTube and the Mastermind, and just bring you to life as Travis Wu here. So I have rapid fire questions. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind when I shoot you these couple questions, okay?
Yes.
All right, best Magic the Gathering memory.
Top 8 at Grand Prix with my brother.
Love it. How about something that's on your bucket list still?
Go to China, visit ancestral lands.
All right. How about a travel location? Because you mentioned 12 countries in like 1 year. Travel location that was most memorable for you.
I mean, Hawaii, I live here now. I had to travel here to get here.
What was the best thing you've eaten in Hawaii? I'm a big food guy. I'm curious.
It's definitely our salad.
Just so fresh.
We make such a good salad. Yeah, 10 different kinds of greens, harvested that morning. If you don't like salad, you're listening. Like, I feel you. If you're in the city, but when you grow it yourself, it's something entirely different.
Great. All right. Last one, Trav. Last one here. What are you most proud of?
Just helping people, I think. Being a helpful person.
So, looking back on the past 10 or so years of your life and how much has changed, do you feel like you've certainly progressed in the area of helping people?
Yeah, helping more people and on a deeper level, helping a lot of people in on a pretty deep level sometimes. So, and on a physical level too, not just teaching, but also providing nourishment.
Awesome. Great. So it sounds like you are fulfilling that purpose that you have set out to do, no matter what you're doing, whether it's the YouTube, whether it's the mastermind, whether it's the farm, you are fulfilling that purpose. And we couldn't be happier for you. And we couldn't be more thankful that you came and spent some time with us, Travis. So let's close things out here, wrap us up, share with the listeners. You have the floor. How they can get in touch with you, maybe through social media, your YouTube, your books, the mastermind, anything. The floor is yours.
So, I mean, my last message, I would say, if there's something that you want to do, just get started and don't stop. That's the easiest, that's the guaranteed way to succeed. So, if it's within you and you want to stop talking about it and get to work, if you want to contact me, Travis D. Wu on all handles, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, email, and yeah, if you want to connect with me, see what I'm up to, or see what I'm sharing, or even message me, you're welcome to do that.
Awesome. All right, Travis. So thank you so much for being here once again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for Travis, you can reach out to him directly. I will leave all of his information that he just mentioned within the show notes. And we thank you so much for listening. And remember, if you love today's podcast episode, make sure that you leave us a comment or rating, anything like that. Remember, Humans of Teaching was made for you. Anything we can do to make this podcast better, we're going to do it. So, Travis, sending off. Thank you once again for being here, my friend. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Peter. Thank you.
Wow. Travis is truly an inspiration to anyone looking to start their own online business and really anyone who's searching for that purpose in their life. Many of us find that we're not really enjoying ourselves in the current profession, job that we're in, and time goes by, and we don't want to be ones looking back on our lives, on our deathbed, saying, man, I wish I would have made that decision. And it's really great to see that in a society where social media is so relevant in our lives, and we see how the visualizations that we have of our role models just make them seem like they're superior to us in every way. But in reality, those lives may not be as exciting and amazing as we may see. And in reality, moving to a farm and having an impact on the internet and having an impact on the people around you, whether it's through physical means, through the food that you're growing, or mentally with the advice that you're giving, can sometimes make all the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here for another episode of Humans of Teaching. Take a listen to the outro to see what you can do to support us. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We appreciate each and every one of you who tune into Humans of Teaching for each new interview, story, and perspective. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, and follow us on Twitter at Humans of Podcast. If there is someone you know who would find value from this episode, or Humans of Teaching in general, please share it with them. This podcast was made to inspire teachers, and the more we can share it with, the better. If you or someone you know is a teacher of any kind and have a unique perspective or story to share, we'd love to hear it. Please email humansofteaching@gmail.com for a chance to appear on our show. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.